Hi everyone, today we're going to be solving the last question of our weekly contest 384. And this question, the name of the question is Maximum Palindromes After Operation. So here you are given a zero index string array words having length n and contains zero index strings. Okay, so you are allowed to perform the following operation a number of times. So what you can do is you can replace any character from any string with any other character from any other string. Okay, so we can do that and swap the characters. Okay, so we can swap any character with any character in this particular whole list. Okay, and we can do that operation any number of times. So to simplify this question, we can just say that using the characters we have in all the strings, we have to make such strings which are palindromes and which are of the same length of the strings which are already there in the list. So in other words, we can say that first off we need to count the number of characters. Okay, count the count of characters. So for a here, like here for a is 4 times a, 1 2 3 4, and b is also 4 times, right? So now we have these number of characters in our bank, and we have to use these characters to construct strings of length 4, 2 and 2 such that the maximum number of these strings are palindromes, right? So now our question has become very simpler. So what's the challenge in making a palindrome number? If you have given a number of characters to use, so the only challenge is the characters which are in count of odd. I mean the characters which are in odd numbers, right? For here, if we have only even number of characters, we will end up making all the strings as a palindrome. But the only challenge will be if we have a character of length which is in odd, right? Like for 3. So for x, let's say x, for x we will be making, we will be putting x somewhere in any string, in the mirror image, right? But we'll again be left with one x which we cannot have a mirror image of. So we have to trash this x. We have to find some place where we can you know where we can use this x, or in other words we have to find a place to put this x. So it can be at the center of a, so the x can be get rid of at a place where it is going to be in the center of a string which is a odd length. So like, let's suppose a scenario where we have 4 a's, we have 4 b's, and we have 3c's. Okay, and we have lengths which are 4, 3, 3 and 1. Okay, 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11. So yeah, so now it makes us even. So we have 4 b's, 4c's and 3c's, 4 a's, 4b's and 3c's, right? And we have to construct strings of length 4, 3 and 1, right? So here we see that c is in odd number. So if we subtract 1 from it, right, then it will also become an even number character, but we will be having this c, right? So we have to put this c somewhere, and that place can be either inside a string which is of odd length. It can go here, it can go here in the center, or it can go here, right? So we have three options here. But when we have the number of odd characters which are greater than the number of odd strings, then there is a problem. Then we have to sacrifice our one character just to trash that odd character, right? I'll give you another scenario here. So I'll just get rid of this thing, right? Yeah, I'll give you another scenario. Let's say we have A, B, C, D, A into 2, B into 1, C into 3, and D into 5. So we have three odd strings here, right? And we have the number of total number is going to be 8, 9, 10, 11. So we need to consider, okay. So we have like here we have 2, 2, and 4, and 5. That makes us, no, let's make it 3. Yeah, so we have to construct these lengths of strings using these characters, right? So now you can see that we have three characters which are in odd numbers. Those are B, C, and D, right? Now we have to get rid of these three characters. So after subtracting one from each and making them even, we will be having so like this will become 0, this will become 2, and this will become 4, right? So now we have subtracted one and we have to get rid of these three odd characters. So we can trash one in this 3. We'll put this in the middle of this string which will be forming, but again we will be left with these two odd characters. So now we have to sacrifice one of our strings just to trash these characters. And by sacrifice I mean that the string in which we are going to be putting these odd characters cannot be made into a palindrome afterwards. So for that we will be choosing such a string which is the longest in length, that so that we can sacrifice more number of odd characters in least number of by sacrificing least number of strings, right? So this is going to be our strategy here. Okay, and after we have sacrificed that, so we'll be counting the number of sacrifice we did. So if our sacrifice is, suppose in this case it's going to be 1, then we'll simply be returning the number of words minus the number of sacrifices. I hope you guys understood. So let's jump to the code, right? So let's jump to the code. So I'll just be leaving this, or rather I should get rid of this. Okay, so now let's jump to code. So first off, we need to calculate all the counts of all the characters, right? So for that we're gonna be using our dictionary. So this dictionary is gonna be this dictionary is going to store the counts. So yeah, now for all the word in words, now we also need the length, right? As you know, here we also need the length list, and a list which will contain this dictionary, which will contain the count of characters, right? So we need these two, right? So for that we'll also be needing another list, that is we'll be calling that length, or we can call it lengths, and that will be an empty list. And in here we'll be appending all the lengths here. So lens is going to be appended with the length of word. Okay, so it's going to be appended with the length of word. Now for each character in the word, I have to declare a count. Oh, sorry, we don't need that, right? So for each character in the word, the dictionary of that character is going to be incremented. Okay, so now we have this dictionary and this length of the arrays. Okay, now what do we need to find? We need to find the number of odd characters, right? So for that, for each character in dictionary, if the dictionary character is an odd value, that is, if that is an odd value, then our odds is going to be incremented here, right? So I've just declared it out there, and odds is going to be incremented by 1. So now we'll be storing the count of all the odds in here. So now we have the number of odds here, like I mean this number b c d, the count of these odd characters, so that's stored in odds, right? Now we need to find the places where we can get rid of these odds without sacrificing any number, without sacrificing any words. So we can get rid of one odd character in such a string which is of odd length, right? So like in this case 3 is of odd length, and this can consume one odd character without sacrificing its palindromeness, in other words, right? So we also need to have a count of all the strings which are of odd length, which all the words which are of odd length, right? So odd words is going to be equals to 0, right? And yeah, so yeah, we can calculate it in this for loop itself, right? It won't be an issue here. So odd words, and the if this word is of odd length, I'm sorry, odd length, then our odd words is going to be incremented, right? So yeah, so at this moment we have all the things we need to calculate our solution. We have the number of odd characters, the number of odd words. So first off, we'll be checking if the number of odd words is greater than the number of odd characters. So if that's the case, we are gonna be getting rid of all the odd characters without sacrificing any number, right? So for that case, if the number of odd characters, I mean if the number of odd characters is less than the number of odd words, if that is less than the number of odd words, or less than or equals to the number of odd words, right? If that's the case, we have not sacrificed any of our string, and we can return all the strings, making them palindrome. So we'll just return, that means all the strings can be made palindrome, right? So we're just going to be returning the length of that means all the strings were made palindrome and returned. But now, in the case where the number of odd characters is greater than the number of odd strings, in that case, we do have to sacrifice some of our strings, right? So for that, first thing is we have to subtract the number of odd strings with the number of odds, because we can organically trash few number of odd characters in the odd strings, right? Odd so the odds are gonna be subtracted with the odd words. Now we got rid of all, yeah, So the now all the odd strings are being sacrificed, all the odd words have been used to get rid of these odd characters, right? So now it would be, more, it would be more economical for us to get rid of the characters if we start sacrificing the ones which are of the maximum length in the word in the words. Okay, so it would be better to sacrifice the word which is of the size biggest, because it will consume the no great most number of odd characters, right? So well, that would be beneficial for us. So that's what we are going to be doing. We're going to be sacrificing the words in order of descending order, right? So first off, we need to sort our length of words. So this is our length, right? So we need to sort it out. Dot. Now we have sorted it, so this is now in ascending order, but we need it in descending order, right? So we'll just reverse it. Now this length list is in a descending order. Now the next step is going to be for, and here we also need a variable that will be sacrifice. Sacrifice is going to be 0 initially, and for all the len, all the l in lens, we have to check here if l is a odd number. If that is an odd, that means that we have already used one of the characters of this string, trashing the odd character here. In this case, where we, trashed one of the character in the 3 because it was odd number. So we organically trashed one character in this odd string already, right? So if that is the case, we have to, subtract the L, but the L, as you know that we have already used one character of L, so we just have to decrement it by 1, and this is going to be subtracted. Now or else if L is not an odd number, then we'll simply need to subtract odds by L. Okay, and we also have to give here an end case where if our odds is less than or equals to 0, that means we no longer need to run this for loop, right? That means we have gotten rid of all the odd characters, like all the odd characters. We got rid of all the odd characters. So now what we need to do, now here also we also need to, increment the sacrifice. So whenever we subtract the length of character, we also sacrifice a string, right? So we have to increment the sacrifice. So we sacrificed one here and one for this one as well. Now we just have to return the length of words minus the sacrifices. Okay, length of word minus the sacrifices. So this is going to be our required number. Then let's try and run it and see if we get any errors. So yeah, we do get an error here. The sacrifice is not defined. Okay, so I think I wrote misspelling. I wrote the spelling incorrectly. Sacrifice. Yeah, as you can see here, this is finished, but we still need to, to submit it. So you see, if I submit this, it shows accepted. So this solution works. Thank you for watching. I hope you guys understood. So that was, the easiest way to solve this question.